Alright, so today we took an L. Let's go through it real quick. Oops, it's a daisy. Alright, so today we took an L. We lost around the daily loss limit. Let me show you guys real quick. I know you guys 957, so we lost around 957, close to the daily loss limit. I was planning on taking another trade, but then I can't because I'm at the daily loss limit. So um, that's the beauty about this. We can only risk one, or we're not really risk. We can only take one trade for risking that amount, which is what I'm trying to do. Again, I'm trying to pass these funded accounts and like get through them as much with as much swiftness as possible, of course. But today we didn't follow the strategy since it's like the first day back, and like we're just a little hungry to make more, and just that's how it is. Sometimes you get a little bit more anxious and a little bit more, what's the word, impatient to start getting the results you want. I've been back testing a lot more this time, but that's for a different story. But let's go through the trade. I know you guys are fiending for the trade idea, so this is the trade idea right here, on the 3 minute. Let's go to the 3 minute here, and this is where I took my trade. We're gonna go to the executions, and we're gonna show you guys real quick over here. So I took a long, and we got stopped out. It was, I won't lie, it wasn't a good trade. It was more of a B plus, not even a B plus. It wasn't even like an A plus setup. I should have never taken this trade. I should have never been trading today, if I'm being truly honest. I didn't really follow my strategy from what I was, like really back testing. And I'm gonna go over what I was really thinking during this time. So this was the trade idea here. You can see we waited for this right here, this change in the state of delivery off of that fair value gap. This is kind of where my initial entry was. Okay, so we closed above. I was like, all right, we close above. Close above right here. So we closed above, and I was like, all right, if the market comes back down, I'm going to take my entry. We're making this an inversion, and we're forming a bullish change in the state of delivery. We can easily target those highs up there, and this trade will be like a quick 1-to-1, easy 1-to-1. We're going to have, 2% on the account. We're going to be up, and we were at break even. Now we're down around 2%, which is fine. And again, I'm risking 2% per trade, which is a little bit hefty, but I'm willing to either blow this account or pass it in one or three or two trades. I'm not really trying to have a maximum like 20 trade range of just, it's just not worth it in my opinion, especially on an evaluation. We're not getting paid. We're not making any sort of money. It's just not worth it in my opinion. I won't lie. It's not worth it. I'd rather not. I know some other people that are willing to do that, willing to take those risks, but this is the thing about funded accounts. You can't have any sort of attachment to the account or the money. Only really your system. Following your system, following your edge, that's the only thing you should really have any attachment to. And the results, of course, that come with that, because those are the most important things. But that was pretty much really it. The 3 minute didn't really look nice here. You can see we just dropped. We're moving lower. The thing about this was, I was watching this right here. I wanted this to get, inverse at first, like an inversion order block, but it just never happened. And this order block also pushes down lower. And the main thing that we did wrong here was the higher time frame. So if we go to the daily, zoom out a little bit. On the daily time frame, you can see we're just pushing up higher. We have no higher time frame PD arrays on the daily, or we're just breaking all-time highs. It doesn't look nice. On the 12H, we have a new week opening gap. That's all we're tapping into. On the 8H, we have, again, a little fair value gap there with a new week opening gap. But there's no sense of, like, real confirmation that the market is going to move, And then eventually we have NFP and FOMC this week. So what is the market going to do? It's going to gyrate. It's going to chop around and wait for those news events to come out to then eventually form that manipulation before it and then eventually push up higher. So right now it's accumulating. Then the manipulation is going to occur, and then the distribution for when the news events come out. And then on the 4H, we have a small fair value gap there. And then, of course, we have a bullish order block. And also on, where is it on? On ES, we have a buy center balance. Same thing with YM. I think YM would have been the best one to trade. 4 longs. NQ isn't really as ideal for longs. I think we're still going to have to move down lower to then eventually move up higher. And then on the 2H, we had a 2-hour fair value gap, which we did tap up into. And then eventually we started to move lower. And on the 1H, we had a 1-hour CRT form. So you can see we swept above, and then eventually we came back down. But I wasn't really using the 1H. I was using this one right here on the 45-minute time frame. This was the one I was using on the 45. Boom. And then as soon as 10:30 came around, we were looking for those longs. Actually, I was using the 30-minute. I'm not going to lie. I was using the 30-minute one, and then this was my third candle. range right here on the 30. Again, I didn't have a higher time frame. Confluence giving me. I guess I should have took shorts. Especially with this right here tapping into the 2 hour Sibi, forming a bearish CRT. That should have been my confirmation. All right, boom. Look for shorts. Where could I have looked for shorts? Whenever we had a closure below here, we got a closure right there. We came back up. That could have been my entry, and then we could have went and looked for shorts. That would have been more ideal. Using the higher time frame PD array, the 2 hour with the 30-minute bearish CRT, targeting the lows, if not the 50%, which is fine because we didn't even reach 50% until this wick came. Even then, we could have probably targeted that 50% of the wick. But even then, that was not the third counter range. This was the third counter range all right here, and then move the stops to break even. And that would have just left us near, that would actually, yeah, would have been Gucci. Right here. So we have the entry right there. Stop loss right here. I'm targeting these lows. That would have been the trade idea. 1 to 2. Beautiful entry. Trade would have been passed, of course. But yeah, that's pretty much really it. Again, we didn't have a higher time frame confluence. Nothing on like above the 1H. We should have had something at least have something like time frame alignment on the 12H, 8H, or the 4H. One of those 3 time frames. That's something we're going to look for. And then eventually on the 1H, 45 or 30, we look for another confluence or confirmation. And then on the entry time frames like the 5 minute, 3 minute, or 1 minute, that's where you look for the idea. And boom, market just went down all the way lower. Yeah, I guess it's too late now to realize what we did wrong. But of course, this is why it's important to journal and analyze your mistakes and what you're doing wrong. And that's, again, I'm on vacation right now. I should not be trading if I'm being truly honest, but I saw a Ferrari the other day. Well, like 2 days ago, I saw a Ferrari and I was like, damn. I literally physically saw it drive by me. I was riding a bike on the sidewalk and I literally saw it just drive right by me. I was like, I thought to myself, if I really lock in, that could be me. That could be me if I just lock in, because this guy is no greater than me. Nobody here, nobody in this earth is greater than you. We're all human at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? We all have the same capabilities. Not everybody, of course, but majority of us have the same capabilities. We all have the same 24 hours every day. We all have the same 24 hours every day. What you put those 24 hours into, or what you dedicate your 24 hours to, is what you're going to receive, you know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much really it for this trade recap. Hopefully you guys are having a great week, great start to the week, and I will see you tomorrow. Again, I'm gonna upload almost every single day. I promise you guys. These vlogs, I'm gonna start vlogging. I have a lot of footage I need to edit, but I'm not home, and I don't want to edit it on this computer because this computer's gonna blow up. So yeah, and that's pretty much really it. And again, the market is moving lower. Again, midweek. I mean, new day, new week opening gap, being filled up. Power through on the weekly candle. Again, we're just gonna, if we're bullish, we're gonna drop lower. And even if we are not bullish, we're still way too deep into a premium, breaking all-time highs. Of course, the market is gonna want to come down lower. And if the market is gonna want to come down lower, guess what? I have other markets I can trade. I can trade euro, gold, crude oil. I don't care what market I have to trade. If I see my setup, I'm taking it. Doesn't matter the time. At the end of the day, I've experimented, I've back tested. I know what works, I know what doesn't work, and I will continue to use my setup, continue to analyze and back test and strategize, tape read, do whatever I have to. You know what I'm saying? Because it works. It's profitable. So yeah.